So, when we are talking about authenticity, how to recognize authenticity? Because it's very important, the truth, the inner truth, and rawness and honesty of who we are to reflect not only on the outside but also on the inside. And there is no direct way of defining authenticity, but from my experience and how divine force taught me, I'll tell you that I have learned authenticity not just about honesty and truth. I was able to learn it in comparison to what fakery or dishonesty or behavior with lack of integrity looks like. So, authenticity has a lot of flavors to it, a lot of facets to it. So, truth, justice, righteousness, honesty, like I said, integrity, morality, genuine care and sense of equality, and you walk in the truth. That's how I can say it. So how could I see it in comparison with, and vulnerability is also part of it, being kind and compassionate, at the same time not letting people walk all over you. There is a very important definition between over-giving, overtaking, and giving enough, taking enough. That's where real authenticity also reflects, and that's extremely rare to find, but at least with constant effort and understanding of inner GPS, the truth and intuition and conscience, we will all get there. Like I said, we are all born with it. We just have to give it a chance to not drown it with the external voice, rather give it its own voice, so that the authenticity comes out by itself, bit by bit. So how do you see authenticity is also by noticing inauthenticity, as in fake. So superficial, dishonest, very on the surface, extremely selfish, not thinking of the other side also, at least in a way if you are interacting with something or somebody, and if you still want to keep it transactional, you have to at least look at it with a sense of not just about what am I gaining out of it, but there is a line where you know that beyond which, if you take its actual greed, it's actually taking over beyond. And fakery is one of those things, because it comes with deception, lying. So lying to ourselves, justification, reasoning, excuses, stories, reasoning, and other scientific, other external excuses people use to justify their own misbehavior. That's inauthenticity. So being honest and not lying to yourself will automatically also help you not lie to others. It comes with vulnerability, because if you are not going to lie in a world that's filled with lie, you will be in danger. So then comes the vulnerability factor, which also means somewhere you're willing to be vulnerable, but not so much that you will be walked over and deceived by people every day. That's authenticity, to know that limit also. The same way you're willing to give to people. You're not always counting your life based on transactions, but there is also the danger of over giving, which is inauthentic, because you're giving with an intention of getting back, deception. You're giving because you want to feel like the victim to get attention or some other resources, manipulation. You're giving, overgiving because you want to look like the saint and martyr who is such a generous person, because you want to build a certain artificial image in the world as to how people perceive you. So manipulation of perception, deception. And you take, again, when it comes to taking, there's a lot of people who happily take as much as they want. There is no limit when it comes to taking. That's the biggest problem in this world. But when you're receiving also, you have the same inner radar telling you, enough, this is where it stops. But you're so greedy, you want to take. And then there are people who you encounter who are giving so much, you're more than happy taking because they are happily giving. Inauthentic. And all underhanded business, all underhanded tactics that people use in their interactions with themselves and others. Inauthentic. Not coming from a place of integrity. You want to say something, you thought about something, you decided you want to do something about it, and then you want to accomplish it. So the integrity is to keep yourself true to that word. And if you don't, therein comes in place of fixing it or modifying it or managing it or rectifying it or somehow changing the factor which went wrong in the process, you go back to lying and justifying and explaining and gaslighting other people, manipulating perceptions so that you do not take responsibility. That's inauthenticity, because you're busy blaming others for everything for which you are accountable. Inauthentic. With authenticity and truth comes real power, real spiritual power, real freedom. Anyone who is walking the path other than authenticity are by nature, by default, walking a dark path, not a helpful one. And the more they get used to it, the more they are deeper in it, they decided to be inauthentic. Not good. So when it comes to giving and taking, this is one example I've talked about. And then there are situations where you have no role to play whatsoever. And yet some kind of situations or manipulations or obligations or burdens are pushing you. Guilt or shame, like, oh, I have to do something about it. It's none of your business, but somehow there is this guilt. Overly good people trying to be overly good, that out of guilt they try to fix something that's not even their job to fix. Or feel ashamed that someone might say, hey, why did you not come and rescue me, or something like that. This is even more important. Now there are situations where we have no role to play, and so we are supposed to keep out of it. This is one crucial thing I learned and the Divine Force taught me. There are so many situations where people, through mere manipulation, their own narcissism, their own entitlement that I am supposed to fix it for them, that kind of false identity that they try to put on me. Okay, it's okay, whatever I do will do. And then this lady who is this generous, good person, full of, compassion and kindness and righteous values, she is the good one. So let me create shit and then go manipulate her and trick her into believing it is her job to clean up the mess, and then she will come fix it. It's okay. She's the cleaning lady of this house. That's the identity they give. In narcissistic families, typically there is a name for this person, a scapegoat. So this scapegoat is the person who lives in authenticity, truth, honesty, integrity. She has kindness, he has kindness, compassion, generosity. They are generally good humans. And that is what is the problem to these narcissistic people in the family. They have none of those qualities, and they have no interest whatsoever in cultivating that quality. So they try to lure these people, manipulate, trick them, guilt trip them, and deceive them, and obligate them, burden them with the responsibility that you are the fixer now. Whatever we want to do, we will do without any accountability. But anything that goes wrong in this house with anybody in any way, shape or form, you are responsible for it. It's your job to clean up. Otherwise, your life will be made difficult. You are abused. They are indifferent to you. They just don't respect you. They ignore you. They abandon you. They throw you out of the picture. And until the time comes for you to be there for doing service of some kind, to those people and whoever they think you should do. It's not just the family. Wherever they decide your services should go. And that's your only job, and rest of the times you are chronically abused, abandoned, neglected, like you are invisible. This is the primary thing I've learned with hardest of the battles that I fought and all this abuse that I went through, and how this divine force taught me that I am not a fixer. This is the crucial part. It's because it not only comes with the limits of giving and taking, which I was somehow able to learn more easily, in comparison to understanding it's not my job to fix everything. I am not the fixer because I am not the one who is responsible for it. Just because someone is throwing their burdens onto you, obligations, making you feel like it is your job, through trickery and manipulation and instilling fear and guilt and shame and somehow telling you are the selfish one because you are now not fixing anymore. It's because you learned your boundaries. The biggest boundary is also to realize where to participate and what not to participate in. This is the biggest lesson I had to learn about integrity. There are so many other things I was able to learn: core values, morality, principles, giving and taking, boundaries, ability to say no, not participate in any event or any persons or any conversations which are not of constructive nature, no gossip, no backbiting, no shitty business about trying to talk about others in their absence or trying to have other kinds of twisted misinformation following around or twisting facts around. None of that. But this was the toughest thing to learn for me, and I am pretty sure there are a lot of people out there too struggling to learn this. To know what is it that you own and what is your responsibility and what is not. Especially when you are brought up in a narcissistic setup, in a family structure, there is always the narcissistic parents, narcissistic siblings. Among those siblings is one or more who are this extraordinary child who can do whatever they want and no repercussions. And then there is the scapegoat who is targeted, abandoned, neglected and abused and chronically ignored, and extreme indifference is shown toward them because they are authentic one. And the label given to you is supposed to be, you are supposed to be this generous saint who gives and gives and gives and fixes all the mess that they create. And outside the family, the impression, the talk that they create is, the rumors, is that you are the worthless one. You have absolutely no life, no dignity, no qualifications, no beauty, no intelligence, no useful purpose whatsoever. She is just a burden for us. She is just a problem. She has become such a huge problem. Like our whole family is bearing with her. We are tolerating her. We are burdened with her presence. And yet, who is the one who is cleaning up all the messes, taking all the responsibilities at once for everybody in the house, irrespective of their role or their title given? It's the scapegoat. So, to remove that scapegoat identity, to own up to my own, and finally realize that it is not my job to fix anything that is not of my responsibility, that is not of my doing. Things that I am accountable for, I own them. I have the capacity to take care of them, apologize, forgive, modify, fix it, do something about it, and then come out of it. I have that ownership, I have that self-respect and dignity to do it. So that quality is something they exploit and make it your entire identity. They force you to be overly generous. They force you to participate in crap that is not yours. They create drama and then expect you to take the fall from it. Anything that bad happens, the fingers are pointed at the scapegoat person, the person that is authentic. And this becomes such a pattern that it almost makes you feel like, oh, you are supposed to be the cleaner all your life. for everybody, whoever comes into your life. And that inauthenticity is the core which almost destroyed me, because all the other core values I learned, I was able to keep my defenses well. I was able to follow all the principles and morality, and understand the give and take and respecting the individual space, participating and not participating in stuff. But when it comes to this particular role that was taking me away from who I really am, is the hardest to learn. And I'm pretty sure a lot of inherently good, nice people with character struggle with this. And this becomes a core aspect of inauthenticity if we start giving overly, if we start fixing for everybody else, if we start being there for everybody else. Somebody will come with their problems, sit with you and share with them. The inherent good in you, the counselor in you will come out and start fixing their problem, advising them, telling them what to do, what not to do, give them structures and all that. You are so good that you even follow up to ask them how is the progress going, what are they doing. 99 out of 100 times, in fact 100 out of 100 times, this person only came to vent to you because you are such a good listener. And you are busy listening and fixing their problems. None of your business, but you start doing it. You go to them, you follow up, and you realize that whatever you told did not even enter their ears. They doesn't care. They only came to dump their emotional garbage onto you because you are such a generous soul who gives your time and energy to people, who is such a good listener. You have the patience. You sit there and listen to their stories, whether they are lies or truth, it doesn't matter. You want to see the human for who they are, and that becomes your kryptonite once you heal. Because there, once you realize that I do not have to participate, fix, or deal with anything or anybody that is not of my own doing. The things I'm responsible and accountable for, I'll take care of it. But the rest of the things that were thrown on me, burdened to be carried by me, the responsibilities and accountabilities that were displaced and dumped on me, the garbage, emotional garbage. If they are angry, you are targeted. If they are, all negative things are targeted on you. But when it comes to celebrations, everything is a secret. When somebody has achieved something, you will never know. When something good happens in the family or extended family, you will never know. When there is some good news, somebody bought a property, you will never know. You live in the same house, but you will never know. That's inauthenticity. If you are being treated like that, and if you believe that that kind of treatment is okay, that's brainwashing, that's abuse, that's neglect, and that is also breeding inauthenticity. Because you're taking crap that's not even yours. And then the same crap is expected to be cleaned up by you. Sacrificing your own needs and wants and priorities and goals and dreams, you are supposed to be there for everybody's servant. But when it comes to celebrations, you are invisible. When it comes to positive aspects, you are invisible. Good news, you are invisible. Nice things, you are invisible. People buy things with themselves. They go out or they do things, they socialize or do things together, and they share important information, but you will never be a part of those discussions. In fact, the discussions that include your own life will be made in your absence, and they will take decisions on your behalf and expect you to blindly follow them. You are worse than a slave, and that is inauthenticity. You cannot tolerate or respect or entertain that kind of behavior from anybody. And if that comes from someone very close to you, you will struggle. You will struggle to set boundaries and reclaim your own authenticity and say, this is not my shit. I will not take any misbehavior. Doesn't matter who it is coming from. The truth is, it is directed at me and it is injustice and it is my right for my own good and it is my responsibility. Now, this is my responsibility, not the one that I was burdened with. It is my responsibility to take care of my boundaries, well-being, emotional and psychological well-being. If you are busy serving and dishing out everything for others and you are left drained and left like an empty shell, making it look like, it doesn't matter if you exist or not for me. You only exist as a slave to me, and you say no and you draw the boundaries and you live in your authenticity that I am not your slave. I own only those things that are of mine. All the rest of the things are your own doing. If that goes bad, it's your job to fix it. I am not gonna step in. You can try your tricks and manipulation, guilt tripping and shaming and obligating and telling you are such a selfish person, you're not fixing this for me, you're not being there for me, you're not being a good person anymore. If their definition of being good means you giving up on yourself, your own authenticity, it's not good. It's only good for them, not for you. But you are only responsible and accountable for you. Get this. So, saying no, and especially saying no and cutting off contacts and cutting off these obligations and burdens thrown on you, and to be able to say no within yourself, that this is not mine and I am not participating in this anymore, is another important aspect of reclaiming authenticity. It's crucial. Do not fall for someone trying to tell you you're a bad person because you're drawing a boundary. You are not responsible for fixing other shit, and you are definitely not responsible or needed to participate in every kind of drama that goes on around your life. That doesn't directly include you. It's not your problem. It's not your decision. It's not your issue at all. Let those who are responsible for it figure it out for themselves. To be able to leave, to include is something a lot of people teach us. But this is the most important lesson to learn. To be able to exclude ourselves and let go of things that are not of our doing frees us up a lot. It frees a lot of space in our life, and only then we realize the beauty of real authenticity. Because it's not just about giving and taking and boundaries and these things, but to realize the dynamics where you are forced to participate in things that are not yours to begin with. Learn to stay away, draw those strong boundaries and maintain these boundaries, and consistently say no to these kind of drama and burdens thrown at you. The moment they try to throw burdens on you, you give them back to me. No thanks. You can take it for yourself. That's reclaiming your authenticity on a huge level. There are extreme selfish people who never take a responsibility, even though they are supposed to be the ones to take that responsibility. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about authenticity from a perspective of a good-natured person who is being exploited, and they do not realize, or they realize but they are struggling to say no because it's coming from someone close to them, someone they love, someone they care about, or even their own generous soul thinks that it is her job or his job to, hey, I should take care of this issue or whatever. No. To be able to give, but also to know the limitations of it, and to realize that someone tricking and manipulating you into giving your time, effort, resources, finances, everything outside to them, because you are not freely, generously on your own will giving to them. They are tricking you, guilt tripping, shaming, manipulating, blackmailing, threatening, emotional blackmail, scare you to throw out of the house. All these kinds of blackmails will happen, threats will happen, all these kinds of dominion, showing authority, trying to tear you down will happen. Now that's an indication that you are being authentic, but someone has a problem with you drawing a boundary which is healthy. So this is one major part of authenticity that one should be taking note of. In a culture where giving is seen as such a saintly job and people are expected to give, that is why I focus so much on this one aspect. That kind of giving is toxic. Pull back your energy, take back your power, learn to say no to things that you are forced or obligated on you by somebody else when it is not yours. You don't have to take burdens that are not of your own doing. But when it comes to your own doing, the same authenticity is necessary for you to take action. Be motivated to do something about it. Give your best, do something about it, and then that's done. Now, that's not because somebody asked you or forced you to do it, but rather it is your job and you did it. Personal job. I'm not talking about careers or stuff like that. Internal. So pay attention to this pattern of overgiving and learn to take back your authenticity.